Hey sightseers, Sightseeing Sally here. I'm with
Meandering Marty.
And today we're checking out the electric city known as
Scranton?
No, we're still in Wisconsin, Marty.
Oh,
Meandering
yeah.
Marty.
Kaukauna.
That's right. We're checking out the electric city known as Kaukauna, Wisconsin. To kick things off, we're going to start out checking out the sights here on Wisconsin Avenue, where you'll find places such as Tommy G's, Uptown Girl Beauty and Boutique, and the Avenue, Tax and Accountant. There's also Tack Brewing, Plan B, and Kaukana's Coffee and Tea. What do you think? Should we start things off by getting a coffee or a tea? Hey Marty, do you need a coffee or a tea to liven things up?
Give me a heart attack.
Okay, maybe you don't need a coffee or a tea, but I'm thinking I might need one. Well, Marty, where do you think we should go next? Electric City Lanes?
Let's do some bowling.
All right. As much fun as it would be to get our bowling shoes on, we're going to pass on that for now. We'll put a pin in it. Maybe we'll do it later. Who knows? First, we're going to go check out this interesting place. It's a miniature park here in Kaukauna where you can step out on a deck overlooking the Fox River. Now, for those of you who don't know, Kaukauna gets its nickname, the Electric City, from the fact that there is a hydroelectric plant. But prior to being nicknamed the Electric City, the people here called it the Lion on the Fox. I'm not sure how or why it got that nickname, the Lion, but I can tell you that the Fox River here has been an important major waterway in the history of Wisconsin. I won't get into all the details. I will just say that the first Europeans to come up this way traveled along the Fox River. They were French fur traders, and they were able to establish a relationship with the indigenous peoples that were here, the Native Americans, the Menominee. Nowadays, you can see that along the Fox River, they have a wonderful walking trail and places to sit and take in the view. There's Marty. Let's wave to Marty. Hey, Marty! Here we go. If you're looking for the Vegas of the Valley, you'll find it here at JJ's Cocktail Lounge. But as our luck would have it, it's closed. I guess my gamble to come on a Tuesday didn't pay off. Well, here's an interesting place. And I'm sad that this place is closed. Because if you've ever drank mead, you would know it is a very lovely drink. I didn't know that they had that here in Kaukauna. A meadery. I said that last part thinking it was making a joke, but look, they do call it a meadery. And then, of course, you've got the old Salon 177 here. And this is a look of view down the road. You can see that they've got, in this really nice historic building, they've got the bridal elegance formal wear. And then, next door to where you can get your bridal wear and formal wear, you can get your workwear in this building. Currently, they've got a denim closeout going on with deals starting at $30.99. And that's pretty much it over here on Wisconsin Avenue. Now, if you take this little side detour where you head through this other little miniature park in the downtown, you'll eventually end up at this spot here. According to this memorial stone, back in 1891, Max Lemke built in this location what he called the farmer's home. Apparently, it was a 3-story red brick building that contained living quarters for his family and a bar with a free lunch counter. Max, along with some farmer friends and merchant friends, set up the Farmers and Merchants Bank organization. Later, Max's son, along with his wife, ran the farmer's home business, which by the 1930s had been converted into a grocery store. Their son, in 1944, lost his life as a prisoner of war in the Philippine Islands. And their daughter, Marion Lemke, had this memorial erected in 2005. And that's one of several historic sites that you'll find here in Kaukauna. There are, if I remember correctly, something like 10, 11, 12 or so, maybe a little bit more, buildings that are on the National Register of Historic Places here. And now for one of the more interesting bridges that you'll ever see.
I've never seen a bridge like this. Not that they're common or not, I don't know, but I've never seen one that lifts flat, it goes straight up flat. I'm used to drawbridges where they open like that, not go up flat like that.
Almost like an elevator.
Yeah, actually like an elevator. It just lifts the whole section up so the boat can go through.
I bet it has a lot to do with the fact that, you know, this part of the Fox River has a rapids with quite a significant drop that they had to put in a lock and dam system.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure.
Interestingly enough, Kaukana's lock and dam system is on the National Register of Historic Places. Can you imagine how beautiful this was back when the fur traders first made their way along the Fox River? Even now, with the visible reminders of more modern times, you still get a pretty picture here along the Fox. By the way, if I'm not mistaken, this area over here is known for having nesting bald eagles. I want to show you sightseers something I stumbled upon by accident, purely by accident, because I was looking for a restaurant. And that is some historical information on this amazing looking building. This building is the site of the former Eagle Mill. It started out as a flour mill in 1872. Later, it was purchased by a man by the name of Oscar Philmany. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. But as you can see, it quickly grew into a pulp and paper manufacturer. This is an aerial shot of the mill along with the Union Bag and Paper Corporation. About 1945 this was taken. And check this out. This photo is from 1897. It shows a parade navigating the Law Street Bridge. This is really neat. Who would have thought? If you look, you can see beneath the plaster the bricks that were used in the building of this magnificent structure. Wood pulp and paper manufacturing have long been a part of Kaukana's history. And I hate to admit this, but I actually kind of used that to prejudge and kind of dismiss Kaukauna last year when one of you sightseers had suggested that we come out here, because all I could think of was, ew, the smell from the paper mills. If you've ever driven along the interstate, you know what I'm talking about. That familiar cabbage stench that I always associated with Kaukauna. Not realizing that in doing so, we were missing out on a lot of cool and fascinating sights. Much like our next stop, the historic Charles Grignon Mansion and Park. Known as the Mansion in the Woods, this magnificent home was built in 1837. Now, it's on the National Register of Historic Places. Interestingly enough, Wisconsin's first deed took place here in 1793. For 2 barrels of rum and some other gifts, Dominique Ducharme, I believe he was French, purchased 1,281 acres from the Native Americans that were here, according to this placard. Now here's something that I think you sightseers will find very fascinating about the history of Kaukauna or the history of Wisconsin, because it's all related. You know from previous videos that I've done on Wisconsin that Wisconsin was huge with lumbering and logging back in the day. Well, this gives you an indicator of the size of the trees that they were logging back then. Look at that. Now Marty stands 6'2", I believe. Now granted, they have it on top of a cement block there, but still, I'm pretty sure if Marty stood up, that tree would be thicker than he is tall.
The age of this piece of wood, 586 years old. Apparently this tree, by the size of it, they estimated it to be 238 feet tall. What do you think of that?
That's amazing. I mean, that's huge.
Looking at the side here, I mean, look at how thick this bark is on here. That's like 8 inches. And that bark is so coarse that you probably could scale the side of this tree without even using any hooks or ropes. You could just find a spot to grab and keep walking up. And I'm positive this tree didn't exist, 100 years ago. It was already cut down. But there's sap coming out of the tree, and just lightly touching it, it's soft. It's still pushing out sap, even though it's probably cut down over 100 years ago. And look at all the lines here. Every one of these lines represents a year. It's just going and going and going.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that really not that long ago there were trees this big here in Wisconsin. Everybody thinks about the huge sequoias in California. Well, I guess Wisconsin also had its share of big trees. One thing that's really nice about Kaukauna is that they have a lot of green spaces here, a lot of different parks for you to come and check out. This one in particular is known as the Hydro Park. As I believe I mentioned earlier, the whole reason that Kaukauna got the nickname the Electric City is because of its hydro plant. And here in Hydro Park, you can learn all about that. They even have one of the old runner blades that was used in the New Badger hydro plant from 1928 to 1965. In its lifetime, it's estimated that it produced 389,234,931 kilowatts of electricity, which equates to powering 40,545 homes for a year.
And we got here the hardware store bar. That's my kind of hangout right there.
There's also the Carpet Mart, family owned and operated for over 40 years. This is a really historic section of Kaukauna. You can tell by all the old buildings that are here. That one in particular looks rather interesting. Check out this building here. Looks like they're in the process of refurbishing, rehabilitating, renovating, what have you. I'm thinking that it was probably once the entryway to a bank based on these columns.
And here's another view looking at it down another block. Oh my, is that creepy. That reminds me of them heads that used to sit on them helium tanks, and they'd have that straw out of its mouth that they'd fill the balloons with. Still creepy.
He's calling it creepy. I'm not for sure he'd be like, oh, I want that for my collection. Since it's open, we might as well go on inside. See what they got. Now that's creepy.
Alright, what's next?
If you head over one block or about half a block in on East 3rd Street off of Main Avenue, you'll find this really old historic building, the 1901 Martins Building. What's really fascinating about this building is if you look up above, you can see like what looks like to be old wrought iron fencing.
No, I never seen that on a roof, but maybe that was put up there as a barrier. Maybe they went up on the roof and they did something up there. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's a reason for that. I've never seen that on a roof.
Maybe back in the day they were holding rooftop parties up there, Marty.
Sounds good to me. Let's go get a beer.
Yeah, it's about that time, isn't it? For you, not me. From what I read online, the Martins Building was quite something back in its heyday. You wouldn't necessarily know it by looking at it now, but the second floor held some pretty lavish apartments or suites. Once considered one of the finest farmer stores all around, this building is another iconic piece from Kaukana's history. And yes, that means this building is on the National Register of Historic Places, for those of you who were wondering. For those of you who prefer the peace and quiet of nature over the hustle and bustle of town, you can always head to 1000 Islands Environmental Center. Here you can relax in the butterfly garden, though I recommend coming and doing that in summer, or at least when the flowers are still in bloom. The building itself is open Tuesday through Friday, 8 to 4, and Saturdays, 10 to 3:30, while the trails themselves are open daily till 11 p.m. FYI, no dogs allowed. No dogs? Good thing we left Leo and Mocha home today. Since we're here, we might as well go on inside and check it out. Well, this is interesting. They have all kinds of displays of animals in here. You've got your buffalo, American bison, of course, bald eagle, which are plentiful around here. And then you got bears galore over here. Oh, look at how tall that polar bear stands and how big its paws are. Oh, that is really soft. Poor guy. My, what big teeth you have. And then we've got a black bear, which is something you would definitely see around here. Bobcats. Cougar, which they have those up north by us. Another bobcat, fox, coyote, and a wolf. Just so you know, sightseers, sea lions are not indigenous to this region. You can see over here they have a handy dandy map showing you the trails that go through. There's even a historical marker, but I don't know if we'll find that in the time that we have. Well, let's take a quick look though, just to see.
The great yellow sun is reflecting in your deep blue eyes. The day has begun. You spin around, you spin around.
Wow, what a lovely spot here in town. No wonder so many people recommended it that we go check it out.
You sing.
Of course, no trip to Kaukauna would be complete without a stop at Dick's Drive-In. Here, you'll be delighted to find that they broil their burgers. Named for its original owner, Dick Sternhagen, Dick's Drive-In has been serving up treats to the residents of Kaukauna since 1955. And now, for the moment we've all been waiting for, the reveal. Ta-da!
Looks like a hamburger to me.
Well, this one's got cheese. Next up, a quick look at one of Kaukana's most iconic historic buildings, the old Nicolay School. Built in 1891, the school was named after Jean Nicolay, as he was believed to be the first European to explore this region. Now on the National Register of Historic Places, the Nicolay School no longer functions as a school, at least according to Wikipedia. Wow, can you imagine going to school there? It looks just like a castle. For those of you who love your old-fashioned bakery, there's the Hilltop Bakery. You can see Marty making a mad dash for the door. One thing, if you haven't figured out by now, sightseers, is that Kaukauna is really walkable. Whoever their city planners are, they've done a great job of just making it really accessible for those who like to get around on foot. As you can see by the footbridge I just walked across. To give you an idea of where we're at, that building there is the backside of the one that I thought may have been a bank, and that there is the backside of the antique store we walked into. And then to the right of all that is newer construction. You got a Pizza Hut. Oh, that might be a bank over there. And then over here is all newer construction. I think the fire department, the police department, the city hall, and all that are in this section here. Other historic points of interest here in town, you can see where the old post office used to be. How do I know this? Besides the fact that there is a very rusty flagpole sitting out in front here, there is also an indicator in the cornerstone of this building where it says James A. Farley, Postmaster General. And then across the street from the old post office building is the building that used to house the library. Another Carnegie-built library. From what I read online, this is referred to as Kaukana's free little library. But take that with a grain of salt. You know how it is with information online. If I'm not mistaken, both of these buildings are on the National Register of Historic Places as well. And there you have it, sightseers, a taste of Wisconsin's Electric City, the city that was once known as Grand Kaukauna, that's now known as Kaukauna. Until next time.